So Biden was in Dearborn, Michigan yesterday, and he was trying out, I think it was the new Ford F-150. And he had this moment with the press where he's sitting in the truck, he's driving it, and one of the members of the media asks him, "Hey, can I ask you a question about Israel real quick?" He responds, quote, "No, you can't, not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it." And then everybody laughs, and then he's basically like, "Watch this," and he speeds off going really fast. Now, listen, he was joking when he said it. If you watch the video in context, it's clear that he was joking when he says, "No, you can't ask me about that unless you get in front of the car." But listen, if Donald Trump said the exact same thing in the exact same way, I ask you, how do you think the media would respond? What do you think the media would say? Without a doubt, they wouldn't be giggling and laughing and having fun. And by the way, after Biden peeled off, the press folks kept laughing and were like, "Isn't he great? Isn't he wonderful?" It was so sycophantic. Now, mind you, this exchange is happening at the same time that Israel is massacring Palestinians in Gaza. They've killed over 200 people so far, over 60 children so far. They've bombed hospitals. They've bombed residential areas. They've bombed the roads going to the Al-Shifa hospital. Doctors Without Borders was bombed. There's a number of things. The media building was bombed that had AP and Al Jazeera in it. So as Israel was committing war crimes, how did the U.S. respond? By reaffirming our unending support for Israel. And also, by the way, we sent them more weapons. $735 million worth of weapons. Now, after there was a giant backlash from the American people over this, and so the administration is now feeling pressure, Biden says, and his administration says, oh, he spoke to Netanyahu and he said to him, "Hey, I kind of want there to be a ceasefire." So that's what the media reported. Well, guess what? Immediately after that, we found out he was saying casually, "I hope there's a ceasefire, but if you don't want one yet, well, we're not going to force it to happen. We're not going to apply any pressure. And oh yeah, by the way, we're still going to reload for you. We're still going to give you more weapons." In fact, also at the same time, the U.S. is blocking a UN resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire. And it is the third time they've blocked that. So as he said, "Oh yeah, I want a ceasefire," he has the opportunity to demand it, and he's not demanding it. So in other words, he's just trying to get some positive press, good PR, as he aids and abets an ethnic cleansing, and let's be serious and call it what it is, a genocide. A genocide. And he's fiddling around at a plant in Michigan, talking about trucks and giggling with the media as he's aiding and abetting an ethnic cleansing. This is the guy who, by the way, the media said, "Oh yeah, he was arrested while trying to visit Nelson Mandela because he was on the right side of history." Total lie, completely made it up, whitewashed the fact that Biden worked with segregationists when he was younger. He was against federal busing, desegregated busing. Totally whitewashed his record. This is a guy who ran on, "We are on the right side of history. We care deeply about that." And what has he done in regards to Yemen, for example, the other genocide? Nothing. He said, "Oh, we're going to stop helping Saudi Arabia bomb targets." Then we found out a week later, "Oh, no, did we say that? What we meant was we're not going to offensively bomb anymore, but we will help Saudi Arabia with defensive bombing," which is made up. It's a made up thing. They're not defensively bombing, so we just back their bombing and pretend like it's all defensive. So he's still aiding and abetting a genocide in Yemen. Now he's doing the same thing in Gaza. As the media giggles with him and they're incredibly sycophantic and he won't answer questions, it's beyond pathetic. And by the way, he gave a speech in Michigan and he repeatedly referred to Rashida Tlaib as Rasheed Tlaib. And he said, "Oh, you know, I respect your intelligence and I'm looking out for your mother in the West Bank because her mom is, or grandmother in the West Bank because her grandma's in the West Bank." He repeatedly calls her Rasheed Tlaib because apparently Rashida Tlaib pressed Biden a little bit when he landed in Michigan. She had some words with him and was like, you got to stop with this. You got to like at least threaten to cut off Israel's funding, cut off their weapons, sanction them, something. Instead of actually doing anything, Biden pretends like he's going to do something and just gives a speech and calls her Rashid Tlaib and says, oh, I'm with you and I'm going to say some flowery words. And this is why everybody can't fucking stand the Democrats. Because it's all fucking talk. The Republicans are like, hey, I'm a giant piece of shit and I'm not even going to try to hide it. I'm a colossal piece of shit. And the Democrats are like, me? Bro, I'm such a good person. I'm on the right side of history. I care so deeply. And by the way, I'm going to continue to arm a butcher and a war criminal who's massacring civilians on purpose. And when you ask me about it, I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to fucking answer it. Piss off. And then the press is going to giggle with me because they like Democrats. When if Trump said the same shit, they would have been on him. Beyond ridiculous. Listen, he has blood on his hands. He's responsible because he keeps giving Israel money, he keeps giving Israel weapons, and he keeps giving them support as they massacre civilians.